5 weeks ago in Las Vegas, A'ja Wilson became the first $5 million player in WNBA history. 3 years, through 2028. The same month, Aliyah Boston walked into a Gainbridge locker room with a lower leg injury, and no one behind her on the Fever roster. The player who decides who wins this league got paid like nothing is going to change, because for Caitlin Clark, nothing has. Now here is what Wilson actually is. 4-time WNBA Most Valuable Player, 3 championships in 4 years, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2 Finals MVPs, 2 Olympic golds, and in 2025, she did something nobody in basketball history had ever done. Won the scoring title, the championship, the Finals MVP, the regular season MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Not in the WNBA, not in the NBA, ever. So, when the Aces handed her a 3-year, $5 million Supermax on April 15th, they were not paying for potential. They were paying to keep the best player in the world in Las Vegas through her 32nd birthday. And they were paying her $1.4 million in year 1, almost 6 times the previous WNBA Supermax. That is what the new CBA built. And Vegas wrote the first check. Now look at the order. Wilson was the last Aces player to sign. Not the first. Jackie Young, already locked in on a $1.3 million deal. Chelsea Gray, re-signed. Jewell Loyd, under contract. By the time Shams Charania broke the Wilson news on April 15th, the entire championship core was already kept together through 2028. The Aces did not extend their alpha until they had already locked in everyone behind her. Indianapolis cannot even do that in reverse. They could not keep Natasha Howard. They could not keep Odyssey Sims. And on Saturday night, when their 210-pound starting center went down with a lower leg injury, there was nobody on the bench tall enough to replace her. Vegas built around their alpha. Indianapolis is letting the franchise around theirs decay. And that is the part of this story that nobody in the Fever beat is connecting yet. Everyone in Indianapolis is talking about whether Aliyah Boston's $6.3 million eclipsed Wilson's $5 million. Everyone is talking about Stephanie White's press conferences. Everyone is talking about whether Boston comes back this week. That is a sideshow. Boston's contract is the largest total dollar figure. Wilson's contract is the largest annual figure under the new CBA, the rate Caitlin Clark gets measured against in 51 weeks. A'ja Wilson just bought herself the most expensive Supermax in WNBA history 5 weeks ago, and nobody has connected what that means for Caitlin Clark yet. Wilson is not just Wilson. Wilson is the number Caitlin Clark's representation is going to point at across the table from Herb Simon next offseason, because Clark hits her Supermax window in 2027. That is 51 weeks from today, and the contract she signs will be measured against one figure, A'ja Wilson's. Vegas already crossed that line. The Aces just paid $1.4 million in year 1 to keep a 4-time MVP. Indianapolis has not paid anyone close to that yet. The bill is coming. The math is already done. And the front office that drafted Caitlin Clark has 51 weeks to figure out how to actually match it. Here is what makes this dangerous. Vegas earned the right to pay Wilson. 3 championships in 4 years. The deepest front court in the WNBA. Becky Hammon's system, the first $1 million head coach in WNBA history, hired by an owner who wanted to prove the league was worth that kind of money. A general manager in Nikki Fargas who waited until the supporting cast was locked in before she handed the franchise alpha the largest Supermax in league history. Vegas knows what their alpha is worth because they have watched her deliver it 3 times. Indianapolis? Indianapolis has watched Caitlin Clark deliver 1 regular season, a regular season that produced a 522% franchise valuation increase, took the Fever to a $560 million valuation per Sportico, and made Indianapolis the most-watched team in the WNBA. And the response from Herb Simon's front office has been to extend Aliyah Boston, let Natasha Howard walk, refuse to add a center this offseason, and then watch the entire front court collapse on May 15th in overtime against a rookie Mystics team. Vegas earned the contract Vegas just paid. Indianapolis is about to be asked to pay one that the roster around Clark has not yet earned. You want to know how this story ends? It ends the way it ended in 1981. In June of 1981, Lakers owner Jerry Buss handed Magic Johnson a contract that nobody in basketball understood. 25 years, $25 million, a contract that would not even start paying out until 1984. Critics said Buss had lost his mind. Critics said no 21-year-old was worth a quarter-century commitment. Critics said the salary cap would never let it work. Magic Johnson delivered 3 more championships under that contract. The Lakers became the most valuable franchise in basketball during the run. And the owners who did not lock in their alpha when they had the chance, Boston, Philadelphia, Detroit, spent the next 20 years chasing him. Vegas just signed Aliyah Wilson to the WNBA version of that contract. Now here is what Indianapolis fans need to know. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame inducted Herb Simon in October of 2024. Adam Silver, on the night of the ceremony, called him, quote, instrumental in every significant NBA and WNBA development over the past 4 decades. Jerry Buss earned that praise by signing Magic Johnson. Herb Simon has been handed it. The question is what he does with it. Indianapolis has the same chance with Caitlin Clark next offseason that Buss had with Magic in 1981. The question is whether Simon understands what Buss understood, or whether the Fever spend the next 20 years explaining why he did not. And the early signs from Indianapolis are not good. Herb Simon's front office spent the offseason extending Aliyah Boston for $6.3 million, the largest total contract in WNBA history, and then forgetting to put a backup center on the roster behind her, reportedly refusing to scout overseas, reportedly letting Natasha Howard walk 8 months ago, reportedly missing every veteran center who signed elsewhere this winter. They did break ground on a building, though, a $78 million Indiana Fever Sports Performance Center, the largest WNBA training facility ever built. Groundbreaking September 2025. It opens before the 2027 season, the same season Caitlin Clark hits her Supermax window. Herb Simon will hand Caitlin Clark a new building to play in. He just will not put another center in it. Howard is in Minnesota right now, putting up 26-3 for the Lynx. Odyssey Sims is in Dallas, putting up 20 against her former team. And Aliyah Boston is in a Gainbridge locker room with a lower leg injury and nobody behind her. Stephanie White said it herself at Media Day. 60% of the cap to 3 players, Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell's $1.4 million extension. The math does not leave room for what is missing. And what is missing is everyone who could have helped. The deadline is already on the schedule. July 5th, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Sunday afternoon, the Indiana Fever play the Las Vegas Aces 46 days from now. And whatever roster Indianapolis has put together by then will have to walk onto the floor across from the deepest, most expensive, most validated frontcourt in the WNBA. Wilson will be there, already extended, already paid, the deepest roster in the league already locked in through 2028. Indiana's frontcourt will be, what, exactly? Aliyah Boston if her leg has healed. Whoever Indianapolis can find on the buyout market in the next 6 weeks. The Aces are not worried about who Indianapolis brings. They have already won that argument. They locked Wilson in on April 15th and have spent every day since playing for another championship. The Fever spent the same 40 days watching Natasha Howard light up the Lynx box score from 1,000 miles away. So here is what we are watching for the rest of this season. We are watching whether Indianapolis figures out, before the trade deadline, before the All-Star break, before that Las Vegas trip on July 5th, that the franchise that drafted Caitlin Clark also has to deserve her. We are watching whether Herb Simon does what Jerry Buss did in 1981, or whether the Fever spend the next 20 years explaining why he did not. Aliyah Wilson buried more than the Aces' previous record on April 15th. She buried Indianapolis's negotiating position. She buried Caitlin Clark's 2027 Supermax ceiling. And she did it while Herb Simon's front office was still figuring out which veteran centers they wanted to not sign. So I will leave you with the question Herb Simon should have asked himself 5 weeks ago. If Aliyah Wilson is worth $5 million in Las Vegas, what does that say about what Caitlin Clark is worth in Indianapolis? Let me know what you think in the comments.